Today we're going to install a Pro 5.0 short thrust shifter for a 3650 Tremec transmission for a 2003 Mustang GT. So first off, one of the things you're also going to need to purchase with this is either some sort of gasket like an RTB or a pre-made gasket. I just got a pre-made gasket off of American Muscle for like 15 bucks. Here's the shifter itself. Comes with the handle for the shifter. Comes with the included hardware for it too. So the 4 bolts to bolt to the transmission, and then 2 hex key bolts to bolt the handle onto the shifter. Alright, so first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to measure the first distance between gears just to get a quick base test of what the shifter length should be. So I'm going to take off the shifter, and I'm going to measure the length between 3rd and 4th. So alright, it's in 3rd. Alright, so now we got the tape measure at the top of the shifter. Now let's shift it into 4th. And the top of the shifter basically lies right around 4.5 inches. So right now there's about 4.5 inches of throw. That may be the wrong way to measure the throw of a shifter, but that's how I'm doing it. If there's a different way you're supposed to do it, let me know down in the comments, but that's how I do it. So the next thing is we're going to take off the shift boot and the shift trim right here. The ends are loose. Pulled out slowly because there is still the cigarette lighter connected. All you have to do is there's a little tab that you just have to press right in here. The cigarette lighter's right there. Just press this tab. Would recommend using something sharp to pry it out. So in the next step of the removal of the shifter, the next thing you're going to need is a 10mm ratchet or a 10mm wrench. And basically these 2 bolts right there at the base of the shifter, you're going to knock them out, get them all the way off. So the next thing that we're going to do in removing the shifter is we're going to remove the shifter dust boot. And to remove the dust boot, we are going to need to remove these 2 bolts right here, and 1 bolt right there, and another bolt right there. And these are going to be 8mm bolts. Alright, that was more difficult than I expected it to be. And I should probably get a new dust boot because this thing looks pretty beat up. It's got a cut right here in it. It looks pretty rough. They're pretty cheap to get a new one. It's pretty smart to get a new one. I'm just not a smart person to get a new one. Alright, next thing we have to do is to get this off right here. This is the actual shifter itself, 13mm. When you get around this step as well, you want to make sure you have some paper towels present. By the way, I totally forgot to show you this. There's 4 bolts along here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the bolts you're going to want to remove to take out the shifter. By the way, the next part to take off this shifter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one hand to put it into first, and then kind of expose this right here and start hitting it with the back of your hand like this right here. So you're hitting it like that, and just a few taps, pops right out. And also at this point, make sure you have some towels handy just in case if there is any transmission fluid dripping. The next thing and what we're going to have to do is get this little cup out of here, because since we have a T3650 transmission, it requires this little cup right here to put on the end of our transmissions to fit right there. Most transmissions already have this built into it, but for our sake with this transmission, it comes out with the shifter. So basically what you have to do is just kind of pry it out with your hand. There we go. Real easy. Alright, now that you got your shifter out, now I'm going to put that little cup to the side because we're going to be using that later. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a paper towel, stick it into the transmission, and just kind of scrape off this extra RTV that's kind of sitting along the side of it. Because when we put our gasket on, we're going to want a nice, clean, smooth surface to put it on. Alright, now that we got some towels and a razor blade to take off the old gasket, I'll give you a look at how it's looking right now. You can see, like right in here, where you need to scrape it up. Make sure it becomes nice and smooth. Alright everyone, now we're back. I cleaned up the surface basically to the best of my ability with the razor blade. Now here's our new gasket for the shifter right here. Just a simple silicone gasket. And what we're gonna do, lay it right along here, line up all the holes. Alright, say that's pretty good. Now let's pop the little cup back onto the shifter. Alright, welcome back everyone. New day. Had to quit last time, and what I've done in the meantime is just put on by hand, hand tight, these 4 bolts holding in the shifter. So real quick, I'm just gonna tighten these down. Alright, so I figured it'd be easier to cut it right here instead of holding it in the air. Here you can see is where you can see I can cut the boot right here. The boot was like this before. Cut that out right there. And now we're going to put it back in. Alright. So now we're going to try to fit this back in. And the way it looks, the bigger edge goes in first. Everything looks to be in order, so I think that's what it should be like. Alright, now let's get these in. Alright. Now this is supposedly supposed to seal underneath the shifter. Doesn't look too well sealed. Honestly, I may have to just buy a new shift boot dust boot thing. So to put on the handle now, 2 hex bolts and 2 lock stop. I'll slide the stop washers on. Alright, now they're both on. Alright, now that this is set up, now what we're going to have to do is now we're going to have to set up these stoppers right here. So what you're supposed to do is so you got to put the shifter in first. That one first. Now you have to tighten the stopper till it touches the shifter, and now bring it back 1 to 3 rotations back. So about, yeah, right there is pretty good. See if we can get a better angle of it. That's about the gap that we have between it. And then you just tighten up the washer at the end. So that's pretty good. Now you do the same thing for second gear. Alright, so now they're both tight. Now we're going to do the comparison from stock to the Pro 5.0 shifter. So how we did it in the beginning is that we measured it from third to fourth. And third to fourth gear was about 4.5 inches. So anything basically shorter than 4.5 inches is an improvement. So right now we're in third. Right here, so basically if it's beyond 4.5, that's worse than stock, but I doubt that. So holding it level. Now that I look at it, it's just about 3 inches. I'm measuring it from the top of the shifter right here. And yeah, let's try it again. So right now at 0. Still right about top 3 inches. I'm going to do kind of like what I did before as well. Kind of hold it right here. Still basically around 3 inches. So basically is about 1.5 inches of difference between the gears. And that's actually a very good improvement, I would say. And also, I'd like to say, it's a very smooth shift. It's definitely very different now having the shifter all the way up here because that huge handle that this one had. Put the handle on backwards. Put the handle on backwards. God damn it. Alright, now that we got the shifter fully installed in the transmission, now we can start putting the car back together. So here's my little, I don't know, shifts boot thing. I'm going to put this, plug in the cigarette lighter again. Push it right here. Make sure that's going over it. Just push it in. And there we go. Get the old shift knob. Tighten it up. Wow. One thing I can definitely notice is this shifter is so much closer to the ground. But yeah, I did flip this shifter back the right way, and there is about a 3-inch gap between the gears. And wow, that's definitely different. So this is the installation of the shifter. And next, like 5 seconds, this is going to be a review of the shifter and how I like the shifter and actually how it feels after a few days of driving and how I actually like it. So just stick around and yeah, thank you for watching how to install the shifter.